Green guy.
A green guy!
A green...
And he does what?
We don't have a green guy.
No.
Okay.
I got it. Okay, two gangs facing off against each other. Two gangs.
We don't have two gangs.
Two guys facing off against each other. First guy pulls out a knife, a little knife, you know, just a little knife.
And then the second guy,
like this. Yeah, like that.
The second guy.
Second guy.
Yep.
Pulls out a bigger knife.
Another one.
A bigger knife to get just get a bigger
one. See, look.
Hey, then he goes back.
The other guy pulls out a knife. He pulls out a big knife.
He pulls out a really big knife.
Let's go with me.
Okay, and then so we got a bigger knife, and
that's not a knife, that's a sword.
It's bigger. Then we pull out a gun. We pull out a gun, huh?
That's not a knife, it's a gun.
Yeah, it's a gun.
Pulls out a gun.
And then he pulls out a bigger gun.
And then the other side pulls out a bigger gun.
He pulls out a bigger gun. Huge gun.
Another one. Right. It's better.
Judge Street. How? Bombs. Big gun. Okay.
One more.
Another gun. So we build it up.
We need to put
and ending. Okay. How about this? Okay, it builds up to there, and then one of them can bring on a nuclear missile.
A nuclear missile?
Yeah, you got a nuclear missile. Walk across the We need that.
Hey guys!
What?
There's people down here!
What?
People down here!
People! We need people!
You know, arms, heads, legs, people!
People!
Hey, people! Well, it's 6:30 and there's people!
It's 6:30! You're early! You're always late! Why now?
Spoil our ice breaking fire.
Come on, get out here!
Just don't trust some people.
You always turn up late and today you turn up early.
Good evening and welcome to Hosanna Fellowship, and a special welcome to our visitors here tonight. Tonight's topic of our special event is jealousy. This creative arts presentation comes to you in the way of song, dance and drama. We'd like you to sit back and relax and enjoy what the team have for you tonight. Right now we have a drama titled How About Now? Let's welcome on the drama team.
Like it?
You're an idiot.
What?
I said you're an idiot.
What'd you say?
I said, what is it?
Oh, okay, I thought you said I was an idiot. So you like it?
What is it?
It's brand new.
Really?
Yeah, cool, eh? waterproof, graphic equalizer. This is an aerodynamic, state-of-the-art distillery.
Does it hurt when you say that?
You know what? You're jealous.
Oh yeah, agree with them.
Don't try and play it down. You're jealous of my state-of-the-art distillery.
State of the art.
Yep.
Okay. Does it have a TV? Okay, does it have a phone?
No.
Has it got a knife? Can it tell the time?
No.
Can it cook?
Oh, come on.
Doesn't sound very much like state of the art to me.
Yeah, well, you're just being stupid. Nothing can do that.
Yep.
What?
My girlfriend. She didn't cost me.
Yeah, well, they usually don't till you marry them. Anyway, you're just saying all this is to cover up for your true feelings.
What's that?
You're jealous.
Mm-hmm.
You are so.
Don't call me an arsehole.
You know what? You think you're funny, eh? Let me prove it to you.
You're
Okay?
gonna prove
I'm going to prove it to you.
Okay, I don't want to sound too much like a cliche, but go ahead, make my day.
Fine, I will. You just wait.
Go ahead, go ahead.
You just wait.
I'm waiting. I'll just sit here and wait. And I'm waiting, and I'm still waiting. Yep, I'm waiting. Okay, I'm waiting. Okay, we're doing charades. Okay, charades. 2 words. First word is...
Shut up and let me think. Okay, I got it. My 40-inch TV. You were jealous of that.
You wish.
My stereo.
No.
My waffle maker.
No.
My lazy boy. You were jealous of my lazy boy.
No.
You weren't jealous of my lazy boy?
No. Dave, we've got 2 lazy boys, right? One for you, one for me.
So you're not jealous at all?
I have no reason to be.
Why?
Well, I get to use everything you buy.
Hey?
When was the last time you made waffles?
6 months ago.
Okay. Yesterday when you went down to the shop, I made waffles on your waffle maker. I then climbed into your bed and watched your 40-inch TV.
That's why my sheets don't... You stung my bed out! That's gross, that's disgusting. Pukey, man.
Sorry, look, the point is, you buy all this stuff, and then you get bored with it. So I get it.
Like what?
Like the shirt.
Hey, that looks familiar. I don't remember giving that to you.
You didn't.
I like that shirt.
The shirt is not what's important at the moment, Dave.
Yes, it is. Give it back.
Dave, look, focus, okay? Focus. One day, you are going to die.
Gee, thanks.
And you can't take all this stuff with you. So you can see why I've got no reason to be jealous.
No.
Sometimes you are so slow, Dave. Like this shirt. Everything of yours, I'm going to get.
I'm going to change my will.
Thanks for the shirt, Dave.
Well, how about that? Well, that was our drama called How About Now, and right about now, in fact, right now, we're going to take up an offering. And I just want to promise you, as the bags come down the aisles and across the rows, I promise you that I won't be jealous if even any of you put in more than I put in this morning. And if you want to know how much I put in this morning? No, don't make you jealous. We wouldn't want that. So, as it's happening, I'm just going to pray for the offering. Father, I just want to thank you that you love us with a jealous love. No, I was joking. A love that is more than anybody could say, anybody could know. So we want to thank you for that, and thank you that you've given us what we're about to get back here tonight. We ask that you take it and bless it. In Jesus' name. Amen. Just while that's happening, a couple of quick announcements. Sorry, as that's going through, if you're visiting, you don't have to worry about putting anything in, right? We're just glad that you could join us tonight as our guests. And we'd also like to extend an invitation to you to join us afterwards, just out in the foyer there for refreshments, coffee and tea, and there's a cold drink there as well. Secondly, just want to remind people about next week. It's 10:30 service here, 10:30 live. We've got another special event, and the topic is integrity, role models, integrity. All right. Now, we're just about finished with the offering going around, so I'd like you to stand, because right now we're going to welcome on the team, and we'd like you to join in singing congregational song with us. Thank you.
We're going to sing the song, Seek First. Now, for those of you who know it, there is a verse, but we're going to have a few soloists tonight for your enjoyment, and then you'll carry on with that.
changes the way that we see people and see things. We don't feel that we can be fair, or we think we're being fair, but we're always biased. But the Bible talks about God being jealous. And he's not jealous because of what we have, which is the way we're usually jealous, but because of what we don't have. He says in Proverbs, anger is cruel and fury overwhelming, but who can stand before jealousy? And in Exodus he says, do not worship any other God, for the Lord, whose name is jealous, is a jealous God. The 10 songs called Feeling So Bad. Are there any here who can relate to having the blues? Let's welcome on the team.
Good evening. Has anybody here ever had the blues? Well, maybe you can sing along. Well, I'm feeling so bad in the middle of love, and it's easy to see that it isn't quite
here, I look out at you and I can be really jealous of the way some of you look. Handsome, beautiful, all the rest of it. I know there must be some of you that are reflectively, probably quite a large percentage, looking at me and feeling the same thing. My wife appreciates me. But we are like that, aren't we? We always are looking for the opportunity. You know, we're a little jealous. I wondered about the Waratahs versus the Hurricanes game last night. I happened to go to see Manu, and while I was there, we were talking because the commentators, the whole game, were making comments about the Waratahs. They were dancers, they were thick heads, they were ball thumpers, they were climbers, they were, you know, ockers and knockers sort of thing. And I just sat and reflected this afternoon about, I wonder, even though the game got lost and the commentators were sitting safely in their box, I wonder what was really behind the comments. I don't think it was just because the guys were fumbling the balls, because some of the comments they made didn't seem to make any sense. But then, I imagine there are some of the guys that love to be in the commentator's box because they know that that's where they would best belong, because they wouldn't have the physique like some of us to be able to get out there and play. You know, we're all different, aren't we? But there are always little needly things, little things that we notice that create jealousy. There's things there that can eat away at us. And you know as well as I do, and some of those jealous moments can eat a person away. Can cause a person to feel destroyed from within. Can cause a person to be able to be in a place where they don't even feel any good about themselves anymore. And that's the impact of a lot of the jealousy we see. When I was younger, one of the things that happened for us is that my parents kept moving from one place to another to another. And I went to one school and we just learnt the 3 times table, and I'd get to the next school and we're just learning the 3 times table. And I missed out on huge chunks of education just from the fact that my parents kept moving home. And I used to always be envious of all these people who seemed to have this incredible academic ability. And one of the things it did to me, it disabled me. It made me a person who wasn't willing to even try. And so school became a place to go and have fun at. And wasn't really a place for learning much. Well, I proved it wasn't a place for learning much. But I sometimes also found that there were people that I would feel real envious about. There was a guy who lived around the corner and seemed to have everything. They had money, they had things that they could do all the time. They had lots of opportunities for things. Well, this family did. There was only one boy in the family, and I didn't connect that between, you know, our family having 5 children and mum and dad trying to scrape it together for us, and they only had to supply for one kid. It just didn't seem to click. And this particular boy, he was an amazing guy with slot cars. He had the ability to make up the frames out of this light brass wire, and he could afford to buy the bodies that he could put on top. And for me, you know, I could make these really rough looking things. And I always felt envious of this boy. And it used to eat away at me until one day I suddenly realised that I could make a slot car track just as good. And it was at the moment that I realised that something changed to me, and we became friends. In fact, I remember going to the local slot car track in Christchurch, and in those days, slot cars were the in thing. Every boy had one in their home, didn't they? Some of you are older than you're trying to pretend you are. Huh? It's true. Every boy had a slot car. I went to the slot car track and there was a bunch of girls there as well. And boy, could those girls race, and you could see some of the guys getting so envious, so jealous of the fact that these girls could drive these slot cars just as well and sometimes and often better. I got on that stock car track after going through this long stint of jealousy with this guy that became my friend. I went along, and in the meantime I learned a few things about motors, and I decided to take some risks, and I got little bits of wire and I rewound the motors. Just put a few turns on, changed the design of the motor by doing so. I went into the stock car race with not a hope of winning. I got on the track and discovered that on a big track, my car that went fairly fast on my small track, on a big track just super roared around the place. I got to the end of the race, and to my surprise, I had won. It only did another couple of laps, that car, before the motor burned out, but I won one race. You know? I won one race. And I felt good, and I didn't need to feel jealous anymore. And I guess at the time I didn't understand what was happening, but I just enjoyed the fact that that wasn't happening anymore to me at that point. But there are always things that are there. Somebody's girl or guy looks better than mine. Well, I didn't have that happen very often. I had some lovely girlfriends. But there was always something. There was always something out there that would get at me. And this jealousy thing would pop up. But I want to ask the question tonight, as we begin this journey that we're doing together. Can I borrow a piece of paper? I meant to pick one up before I came here. I want to ask this question. First of all, is it wrong to be jealous? In our society, we say, yes, it is wrong to be jealous. Absolutely and totally wrong to be jealous. But it's not true. That's not true. The first thing I'd like to say tonight, in terms of jealousy, there's two sides to the coin. There's the negative and the positive side. You know what it's like with a coin. You've got the coin there. On the one side there's the head, on the other side there's the tail. That coin with only a head is valueless. With only a tail is valueless. And jealousy is a bit like that. You see, there is a downside. There's a tail side which is negative. But there's also an upside to jealousy. And it's okay to be jealous sometimes. And we're going to discover that tonight. We're going to look at the negative side and the positive side. In terms of the negative, I'd like to start tonight. We're going to look at the dictionary and see what we can discover. Here's the dictionary definition. There's 8 key points to the definition. Listen carefully and you'll notice what's there. A suspicious, jealousy. Suspicious, apprehensive of rivalry. A person who's suspicious or apprehensive of rivalry. The second one, resulting from a feeling. Jealousy is a thing that's resulting from a feeling, such as a jealous rage. There's this term of rage being included here. Then the third one is demanding exclusive loyalty. Demanding exclusive loyalty. Fourth one is resentfully envious. Resentfully envious. I resent the fact that you have that, just like our disc man fella here. Careful in protective, watchful way. To be jealous is to be careful in a protective, watchful way. The sixth one is to be envious. The seventh is to be covetous. And the eighth is to have an invidious suspicion. Now some of you are going to say, what's invidious? Here it is here. Let me explain. The deaf are going to go mad at me if I just leave them with that word. It's likely to incur ill will or hatred or provoke envy or offence by unfair treatment. That's what invidious is talking about, okay? So let's look at this negative side of the whole of the jealousy thing. The negative side of it. Here we are. A little story I have. There was a famous opera star once who got up and he was singing. Brilliant, brilliant singing. And right at the end of the opera, his friend who was sitting with him said, Wasn't that wonderful? I was just marvellous. Oh, I could saturate myself in that. Oh. The other guy sitting there, very careful, looks, what's so wonderful about it, he said. If I had his voice, I'd sing just as well. You know, that's the way we think sometimes. If I had his voice, I'd sing just as well. Sure. Then the whole issue about the negative side is this whole envy side. You know, envy is the root of the whole of the jealousy issue. Envy is the ultimate expression of negative jealousy. I found a writer who put it like this, very succinctly in some very powerful words. Envy is the daughter of pride, the author of murder and revenge, the beginner of secret sedition, the perpetual tormentor of virtue. Envy is the filthy slime of the soul, a venom, a poison of quicksand, which consumes the flesh and dries up the marrow of the bones. That's pretty powerful, you know? Hey, there's envy, the daughter of pride. I don't know why it's not the son of pride, but never mind, there's something like that. You know, the beginning of secret sedition, the one that sits behind murder. It is. Think about it. Is that powerful? And so we allow it to happen though. You see, one of the things that we do is we continue to look at what others have and we want what they have, or we want what they seem to have. And often our perceptions are not even accurate. You see, my friend I talked about with the slot cars earlier, when I got to really know him, I discovered that he may have had a lot of wealth and goods, but he had a poverty of spirit. He was a guy who really was very lonely. A guy who had so much that everybody was envious of, and so he felt isolated and alone. And so this whole jealousy thing had this huge impact on him. And the fact that his parents had not been wise in their generosity to him. And they had created a little monster at times who could be a right little prat, a little brat in that sense. A guy who always thought he should have because he was entitled to have, because he'd never been taught that wasn't necessary to have things to enjoy life. In fact, it soon became apparent in his life that he really wasn't enjoying life particularly. It's like this. You know, we can take life and we can measure it. And we can sort of say, hey, you know, we've been doing this lots out on the building outside, you know, measuring everything. And the other day we measured and discovered that, my wife's going to rescue me, here we are. And we discovered that one thing that had happened, the Steelies had to come back yesterday morning because they were that much too low with one piece of the floor, you know, upstairs. It'd be very easy to sit there and say, wow, those guys did a marvellous job and I really wish I could do as good a job as them. The thing was, it wasn't quite as good as it looked, you know. And we measure people's lives, and sometimes when we look at the tape, we end up joining what tradesmen call the 100 Mil Club. The 100 Mil Club are a group of people who manage somehow or other to, instead of reading 530, they read 540, or they're meant to be reading, and that's not so bad because it means you can at least cut a bit more off. But if you're meant to be reading 540 and you read 530 and you cut it off at 530, you've joined the 100 Mil Club because your hunk of wood is too short, and when you stick it up in the steelwork out there, it's going to fall to the ground. You've measured short. Now I can tell you, there's a whole bunch of us in here 100 Mil Club people. We've measured short. We really have. We've measured ourselves short so often. You see, the thing that we need to recognise is that we don't need to measure ourselves short. See, when I was young, I know what it was like. I was shorter than Pauline when I became a Christian. And one of the things about being short is that you always feel inferior to those who are tall. And there's an old saying that goes, sticks and stones may break my bones, but names will never hurt me. As I grew older, I suddenly realised that that was a fallacy. Sticks and stones could break my bones, the guys could pick on me, beat me up. But oh boy, I could give them some names and I knew they hurt. But really, we measure ourselves short. And if I only understood who I could be, I would have had a change life a hang lot earlier than what I did end up with. I end up feeling frustrated. You know, I went into my trade and I left school and I started work as a fitter turner and I thought, I finished school. Ignorance is bliss, they say. It wasn't bliss for long when I discovered joining a government department for your trade meant I had to do day school and night school. Education had just finished. I was spending hours in the middle of the night. I've never spent that many hours studying in my life. And suddenly, the world was tough again. It was going to be easy work. And I felt I could never succeed. I could never believe I could because everything was there. Everybody else had it better in my eye and lots of things. Now, not everything. In electronics, in terms of electronics, I knew I was good in that. But it doesn't help you much. If you know you're good at something, it seems to be that the negative has a greater destructive value than the positive will, if you're dwelling so much on that negative. The positive in itself will not correct it. So I want to come now to this whole deal of the positive side of jealousy. I don't know whether you noticed in the text. Don't know whether you noticed in the text tonight. One of the readings said this: "Do not worship any other God, for the Lord, whose name is jealous, is a jealous God." Now, did you know that God's name is jealous? That's one of his names. You say, well, hold it, Gary, we're not meant to be jealous. Yeah, we're not. We're not meant to be jealous, except if it's the right kind of jealousy, because there is a right kind. And we do need to dwell on that, because I think sometimes we can live with a heap of guilt simply because we have not understood this point. You see, it's okay for me to feel jealous of my wife, not jealous of the things that she can do or how beautiful she looks. And I mean, I don't look like her. I'm a guy. It's not all those kinds of things, but jealous of my wife in the fact that I want to protect her. Any of you guys go near her, I would die for her. That's a jealousy that God talks about. There's jealousy of my family. Anybody wants to pick on my family? I remember my father giving an illustration when he was young. They used to go kite flying. A family with a big family. I mean, our family wasn't so big, and all these brothers, and Dad was a little guy. He was only a little guy. They used to go out kite flying. And the boys used to go along, and some boys used to come up and feign that they were, oh, you got a good kite there, good string on your kite there, and talk like this. And my dad and that, they just managed to get bits of string and things from all sorts of places and tie it all together to make their kites fly, because you know, his father had left and they didn't have a lot really when they were younger. But one of the little tricks the boys used to get up to, used to come up and they'd be jealous of somebody else's kite. And so they'd come up and say, oh, it looks good, and then go, and they'd cut the string and let it go. And Dad said they knew never to do it to the Colvilles. You did it to one Colville, you had all the other boys that'd give you a hiding. Don't get jealous with the Colvilles, was the story. Well, I guess that kind of helped them. I don't think it did them a lot of good in one sense. But the thing is that we should feel free to be jealous of our family. Not in the sense that we're jealous about what they have, but we're jealous to protect them. We want to give them the best. We want to make sure that ultimately they have the best, whether we're parents or whether we're siblings or whether we're looking to our parents. We should never let anybody put our family down. That kind of jealousy is right. And then there's other kinds of jealousy that are right. There's a jealousy where the boss says to you, hey, I expect you to work here I don't want you partying up over the weekend, getting absolutely blotto, coming here on Monday morning with a sore head and useless for work. You owe me this. I'm paying your wage. And I have a right to receive what I expect for the money I'm paying you. That kind of jealousy is the right kind of jealousy. A person has a right to get the job done they're expecting to get done if you have agreed to do it. Now that's the right kind of jealousy. But the one that God talks about is the one that He's a jealous God because He wants the best for us. It's not because He wants us just for Himself, but that He wants us to have the best, and He doesn't want somebody else who's going to be destructive to us to be in control of our lives. Some people have said to me sometimes, let me give you an illustration. They've said to me sometimes, Gary, I go night, I've heard they've gone night clubbing or something, and I find out about it, and again I'm talking about it. They say to me, I'm only dancing to the music. Right? Let me ask you a question. Do you really think it's the music you're dancing to? Because I'll tell you, the reason most people I find out about that have gotten heavily into the nightclub scene, or even lightly into it, I know they're not dancing just to the music. I know. You know why? Because without them even realising it, I have ears. Now they may not see them because of long ears, my wife will tell you, but I do have ears. And you hear them going around going, come on baby, come and do it. Now don't even realise what they've just sung. Now where did they get it from? Where'd the tune come from? Where'd the words come from? And God says, I don't want that stuff. I'm jealous for the best for you. And that's the way He is jealous. And that's a good side of jealousy. A jealousy that protects, not a jealousy that destroys. A jealousy that loves but doesn't possess. And that's the kind of jealousy that God has for us. You know, we can have hearts that get distorted on the whole issue. Hearts that are full of pride. Hearts which are going to say things that they shouldn't be saying. Hearts that are destructive because they don't care for anybody else. You know, and in the end, when we live like that, inside we're going to be like my friend Padlocks. He's broken. He's feeling sad. And Padlocks can't get away from the fact that inside I'm hurting. That's what he's saying. Inside I'm hurting. So I want to conclude tonight by giving some suggestions of how we can deal with the destructive, the negative type jealousy. And then I want to suggest how we might be able to go ahead with the right kind of jealousy. The first thing is, and the biggest thing is to recognise that we've got a problem. You might say, well, Gary, crumbs, that's obvious. Intellectually it is. But emotionally and relationally, in other words, when we're relating to other people, it's a different deal. It's no good every time we see somebody with something that we love, or they seem to have something we don't possess in terms of quality or value or whatever. It's no good us every time we're facing it going, oh no, oh man, this is terrible, I shouldn't be like this. That's only intellectual assent to an issue. And we need to move beyond that. And one of the best things we can do to move beyond it is to first of all address the key that sits behind it, that'll keep driving us to feel jealous of others. And it's the fact that we carry around a hang of a lot of guilt and other baggage. We carry around huge amounts of guilt sometimes. And we want to dump it on other people. There was a young boy once who looked across the valley. And when he looked across the valley, he could see this house. And every evening, as he looked across the valley, this house was a golden house. The windows shone with a gleaming golden glow. and he was envious of what was over there. So he decided he wanted to have what was there. So he travelled down the valley, but it was a really rugged valley. So at night, he got stuck in the middle of this rugged valley. So in the end, he lay his head down to sleep, and he went to sleep. He woke up in the morning, and he climbed up through the bush, and he finally arrived at the house, absolutely disappointed. He thought, it's gone. Somebody's beaten me to it. Somebody's stolen the gold. And as he turned around and went to walk home, across the valley again, a rugged journey he just travelled, he saw his own home, bathed in the golden sunlight, the windows gleaming like gold. And he suddenly realised the thing he had at the beginning was just as good as what he saw on the other side. He didn't need to make the rough journey to get the best. He already had it. You know, we are so much like that sometimes. You see, we don't need to go around always looking to try and get better. If we are simply ourselves being changed, being transformed in some measure, then our perspective will change. And when we look across the valley, we will know that the other person on the other side is blessed by what they have, but we'll also know that we also have the best. And that we can also share in that beautiful golden sunlight that the other side gets in the dusk, we can get in the morning. We can have all day. And then the next one is with the whole guilt thing. Instead of reacting with what other people have, one of the things we can do is that we can actually look at them and think, isn't that wonderful that they've got that? And I'd love them to have more. And to even go to them and say, yeah, you know, you're fantastic. You know, tonight, I said to the guys, they came on stage singing that blues song, I said, that's great. I used to be able to really sing. I can't sing like they can. And I went through a real bad stage where I used to go out, there's a group of us, 9 of us used to go out. We used to cram into one mini with a tea chest on the roof. One of us had a hand out one side and a handle in the tea chest, and somebody else on the other side. They were meant to be Christians, and I know that wasn't really legal, but that's all we used to do. We just didn't figure that one out at the time. And we used to go, and we used to go around all the coffee bars in Christchurch, and we used to go and sing. I had this beautiful voice. I used to win singing competitions. But I was in the process of my voice cracking, and the group sat me down one night. Now, I knew people envied my voice, as people had told me. They sat me down this night. I always remember we sat down in Eric's lounge. Eric says, oh, Gary, we need to talk with you. And you ever had that happen to you when a group have said they need to talk to you? Tell you, man, I don't sweat profusely. Very easily. A trickle went straight down my back. I don't know where it came from. And it run down my back. I always remember that night. I said, what have I done? I thought, I must have sinned really, really bad, you know. First thought into my mind. Now, I think some of the people in the group, if I'm really honest with myself, are probably feeling really good about this meeting this night. Because for several weeks, I've been singing in the group. And I've been singing out of tune. The trouble is, as most of you know, I have a really strong voice. They tried to drown me out by singing louder, but I didn't realise that's what they're trying to do, so I just sang louder. And in the end, they decided this is disastrous because one of the coffee bar people said to that guy, there's something wrong with him. There's a jealous spirit over there somewhere. And I sat there devastated that night. I'm a competition singer. I thought to myself, I've got all these things to prove I am. I'm one of only 6 in New Zealand who's got the full English choristers qualifications, which was the case at that stage. There's only 6 of us in the country that had it. And I sat there thinking, no, they're wrong. No, they wouldn't be wrong. I knew they could sing. Some of them probably just as well as me. But they were telling me I couldn't sing for peanuts anymore. Eric said to me, he'd kind of explain the sort of hormonal activity that goes on in your body and why your voice cracks. And I was really embarrassed because a whole bunch of girls were there. So, I never understood those things before, you see. I hadn't been told. People were shooting at people know, and I just didn't know that one fact of life. And Eric says, Gary, I know it really sounds sad for you, but you shouldn't have been singing while your voice is breaking. You probably never sing in tune again. He made me feel real good, And I sat there, felt really jealous of the fact that they lost their beautiful soprano voices and managed to cop some beautiful tenor and bass voices. And here I was. I used to have a beautiful squeaky soprano voice. And could wide range, wide, high, really high and go low. Could play with my voice and have a lot of fun. And suddenly I was so envious of the fact that they had something I didn't have. For years, I suddenly realised for years and years I'd sat with pride and ego, and all of a sudden the whole thing was chopped out from under me, and the thing I'd relied on so much for my own well-being and my own sense of self-worth was gone. Just because my hormones had changed. It's kind of a strange kind of thing to happen. Now I sing sort of a bit like Barry Maguire nowadays, a bit rough on the notes. But at least I sing. And I've come into tune a bit more now. But the thing is that, see, what had to happen for me, I had to go through this process of pain to realise that I needed to face some issues. And we can't, if we keep avoiding the process of pain, we're never going to face issues, and we're never going to be the people God designed us to be. Every one of us here, whether we claim to be Christians or not at the moment, is not the issue. The thing is that God has a purpose for every one of us for the best. He wants us to know the best, and sometimes to get the best, we've got to be humbled in the area where we think we're the best. Sometimes we need to realise that we've got to face the issues, and escaping them won't help. I met a young fella just last week who I've been talking with, and that young guy got into a pretty bad state. He got into the drug world and unfortunately ended up in major trouble with the police, and has no self-worth. And I said to this person, because I happened to be involved with doing some stuff with him, I said to this person, you do really well at this. You do really well. Now, I don't know his parents or anything like that, but I know one thing. I don't think he's been told that very often. Because I saw him rise up. Shoulders rose, his head rose. I could see him looking good, feeling good inside. Because somebody bothered to tell him how good he is, and he is. He's a very clever guy. He's got great ability. He's got a great work ethic when he gets down to working. He's got lots of value. And the thing that we need to learn to do is don't deny our weaknesses, but at the same time, look for the things that God has placed in our lives. And not only look for them, the things that God has placed in our life, but look for them in the way that God would want us to. We're not just pursuing things for our own self-interest. That's where jealousy gets most powerful. We're doing it for self-interest. We're always going to want what everybody else has got. But we're doing it because we have a sense of the fact that God really cares for us. And we ultimately, the best thing we can do is care for others. You know the interesting little spin-off of that is? Every time we do it, it'll also leave us feeling really good. And we now and again get a glimpse of it. But it's a very powerful thing to know. And then, in terms of that, once we start recognising, we need to start to recognise there needs to be a pattern change for each one of us. And I would suggest for some of us, alertness is a danger point for us. If we're people who get tired easily, we need to make sure We need to make sure that that doesn't dominate our lives, because if it does, then we're going to be more vulnerable. But it's not just tiredness. There are issues for each one of us which will lead to us being vulnerable to other people's abilities, or to other people's attributes, or to other people's giftedness, to other people's wealth. And God doesn't want us to be vulnerable to that. He wants us to know Him. Now, there are all sorts of other issues that we could address here tonight, but I want to finish tonight with this. You're not able to serve the Lord, says Joshua to his people. He is a holy God. He is a jealous God. And He will not forgive your rebellion and your sins, said Joshua. Because of that. But the good news was that God did forgive the rebellion and the sins. See, at the top of my sheet here, you might have noticed with the word jealousy and all its colours. There's two people. I didn't know the guys with their icebreaker were doing the sword and the gun thing tonight, and here I am. You've got a guy being stabbed up there on the far side, thrust through with a sword. That's the way that jealousy treats even our friends. But on the other side here, I have the picture of a guy and a woman. And there seems to be some kind of at least mutual respect in that picture, and I'm assuming that that mutual respect is because there's a love relationship there that's healthy. So you're going to have to buy that one from me. But that's what it is. And what I want to say to you tonight, and everything that we could say, if we get our order right, if the way that we live is right, then this kind of thing isn't going to happen to us. People are not going to be able to destroy us. You see, the most powerful thing about getting things sorted out in our own lives is that other people can't even damage us. It's true. They can sometimes wound us a little, but they won't permanently damage us, because we can rise above it. God makes it clear in His Word. He says that He will be with us. He says, have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Don't be afraid. Don't be dismayed, for the Lord your God is with you. Now, we can all have that. We can all, in a sense, measure up to God, not because of the fact that we measure up, but the fact that we try to stop measuring up to others. And we only measure up to the way that He wants us to be. I'm going to pray right now. I'm going to invite you to join me in prayer. Some of you here are Christians, and some of you know that you have an issue with jealousy. You're Christians, and you've not dealt with it, and you have envy and jealousy, and you struggle with those issues, and you've not dealt with the issue. Tonight I want to invite you to deal with it. And there's others of you here who are not Christians, and sort of, maybe it's been a big issue to you, maybe not a major issue, maybe it's just started your thinking tonight. Well, God's wanting to take us whoever we are. He's jealous God. But the interesting thing about this kind of jealousy is that He's willing to take us right as we are. He doesn't want to mess around badly with us. He's just willing to take us as we are. And then He wants to help us to change. I'd like to invite you to join me in talking with Him now. Father God, we want to come to you tonight. Every one of us in this room can think of points when we've been envious or jealous of something, somewhere, at some time. God, I know I can think of huge numbers of times that that's happened in the past, and even times since I've become a Christian, I've had to deal with it and struggle with it. work through it. And Lord, it's something that you want us to deal with, and so every one of us here that is talking to you right now, we want to say to you, God, change us and make us like you, that we would be jealous for the right reasons, that we wouldn't justify wrong jealousy in any way. And God, we're sorry for the fact that we have offended you and traumatised you, and you've said that so clearly in your word that you're pretty upset about the way we've treated you at times and the way we've handled life. We just haven't done it your way, and so we'd ask you to change that and to help us. We're starting to discover more and more, God, that Jesus coming and dying was for us, so that we could change, because we couldn't do it ourselves. So we'd invite you to help us, by the power of your Holy Spirit, to come into our lives. And we'd ask you to live in our lives and work in our lives from this day onwards. In Jesus' mighty name. And all the people said, Amen. And all the people said, Amen. Now I want to conclude this tonight by putting this last thing to you on my sheet. We have the opportunity, if we take the positive side of what God's word says, to move in the power of wanting the best for the other person. That's including God. He's one of the other persons. We have that opportunity to live like that. And Jesus certainly lived like that. He said, the greatest among you will be the servant of all. That means I'm willing to give my life to the other person at all points. Now, that doesn't mean to say you're unwisely stupid with that, because you could be unwise and give too much to the other person in terms of not teaching them things. I mean, I wouldn't come, a beggar comes knocking on my door and asks me for $40, I'm not going to give him $40 cash, but I'll feed him and teach him how to look after his money. And we need to be willing to be people who are going to move in the power of wanting the best for the other person. And that's the thing that God did, the thing that Jesus did. That's the thing that we need to learn to do. Don't let the negativism from other people control you for the rest of your life. You don't need to. Now, if you're really struggling with this, there are people here available who'd be willing to spend some time with you, helping you work through the issues and counsel you. And, in a message like this, we can't hope to give you all the keys and address all the issues in a short time. But we're willing to spend time with you, if that's what you would like. I really pray that the Lord will bless you this week, and you'll discover the power of moving in the power of His presence for the sake of the other person. Because when you do, you'll find a greater joy in life than you've ever known. May the Lord bless you. Let's show some appreciation for the team.